here to show you how I use this word study guide with my middle school students. My very first recommendation is that you always provide your students with the word definition. You probably already know how ineffective it is when you ask your students to look up a word definition on their own. I recommend that we simply give them the word definition and have them explore other elements of the word after explicitly teaching the different strategies that I'm about to present to you, and through the gradual release of responsibility model, giving them extensive practice, your students will be able to look up a definition on their own and figure out exactly what definition is the correct one. Now, let me show you how I use this in a whole class lesson. I start by projecting this slide and my students take notes as we study the word together. The very first thing that I have them do is write the word that we are studying, and then I have them either look up a sentence where they can find the word in their notes or the text that we are reading, or as a class we come up with a sentence that contains the word. For this word, we're going to use this sentence. My dream is to become a teacher. Once we have a sentence, we discuss the job of the word in that sentence. We figure out if the word is a noun, a verb, an adjective, or an adverb. And we mark it with this little check mark, and they put a check mark on their handout. We can now look up the word in the dictionary. Click on the red line, which takes us to an online dictionary. Type the word, and then with my students' help, we figure out what definition is the most appropriate for the word that we are studying. One of the things that I like to point out to my students is the meaning of these little letters. N stands for noun, so we focus our attention on these definitions here. I read a couple of them. Obviously, I guide them in the process of choosing the right definition. So in this case, a daydream, or a condition or achievement that is longed for, an aspiration, and then I have them choose what they think is the correct definition. In this case, we're going to pick an aspiration. So I go back and I write the definition in the box. Once we have the definition, we go through each one of these boxes and we choose one or both strategies per box in order to help us have a better understanding of the word. So the next thing that I do is I click on the link for picture, which actually takes you to clip art. So I type the word dream here. Once we have all the pictures, I have students take a quick look at all of them, identify a theme, and choose a picture that best matches the sentence and the definition that we have. And it's amazing to see their thinking. They are able to tell the difference between this dream here, and this one, and they usually choose the correct definition. So we're gonna pick this one here, then we come to the box and paste it. For this box here, I really like using the translation as well, because a picture doesn't always help with the definition. I type the word here, and then we go through the different languages represented in the class, like Russian, Pashto, Kinyarwanda, Swahili, etc. So I'm just going to write it in Spanish. Next, I have them choose either a synonym or an example, but I again explicitly teach how to select a synonym. So once you click on that link, you type the word that we're looking a synonym for, dream, and then I teach my students to look at all of the words that are displayed and choose a word that they recognize, that they know in English, and a word that matches the definition and the sentence. So I read it to them: ambition, aspiration, hope, goal, and they usually figure out at least one of these words. So in this case, I'm going to have them write goal. We go back here, we write goal. Now, sometimes finding an example is a really good strategy depending on the word. Some other times it's not that easy. Specific word, it's best to have just a synonym. Then we go to antonym, or non-example. And again, in this case, finding an antonym for the word dream is not the most effective strategy because it'll show us the word nightmare, which has a different meaning than the word dream in this case. So we're going to look for a non-example, not having goals, not having dreams. Then we look at characteristics. For this, there's no link because this is a teacher-directed activity. We have a class discussion and I have my students figure out what are some of the characteristics of dreams. So I give them examples. Could this be a dream? Could I say that my dream is to climb up a mountain and fall off a cliff? Could that be a dream that I have for my future? And they get the fact that dreams are positive aspirations or wishes or desires. Another characteristic of dreams is that they are long-term and not easy. Lastly, this box here is for morphology, etymology, or word variations. So we start with dreams, the plural form. I also clarify the fact that the word dream can also be a verb and we use it in a sentence as a verb. And then we just go through the list of different verb forms like dreaming, dreamt, or dreamt, and also dreamer as a noun. And that's it. Imagine all of the different aspects of word knowledge that we just covered with this graphic organizer. It is really important that we go over all of these strategies with our students. Through the gradual release of responsibility model, we can little by little let our students work on these different strategies so they can eventually do it on their own and without even having to fill out a piece of paper. Those are some of the strategies that I've always used to help me increase my vocabulary in English. So I hope you find this helpful and want to try it with your students and let me know how it goes.